They say cannabis isn't addictive. I'm here to tell you that's not the whole story. I smoked weed for years, got hospitalized multiple times, got clean, went back, got clean again, went back again. I'm going to tell you exactly what that cycle felt like and how I finally broke it. I actually made myself a promise when I was 12 years old. I said I'd wait until I was 18 to try cannabis. I was proud of that decision. I thought I had it figured out. I made it to 17. Peer pressure cracked me, and even before that, by the time I was 14, I was already around it. Other people smoking near me, the smell becoming familiar, the culture pulling me in before I ever took a single hit. Once I started, it didn't take long before I was buying and selling with my friends. I told myself I had a line though. I wouldn't touch other drugs, just weed, just this one thing. I think a lot of you know exactly how that kind of promise tends to go. I went off to college in Ontario. That's where things escalated. I had my first experiences greening out. That's when you take too much cannabis and your body just revolts. Heart racing, paranoia through the roof, feeling like you're dying. It's awful, and it didn't stop me. When I got home, the connections got stronger, the weed got stronger, and I got deeper in. My friends were warning me that police knew about me. At my worst, I was smoking a gram a day. That's roughly $100 a week going up in smoke. Here's the thing about getting hospitalized. You get clean whether you want to or not. They're not exactly passing joints around the ward. So I got clean multiple times, cold turkey, all at once, cannabis, alcohol, whatever else. And stopping cold turkey has its own kind of suffering, which I'll get into in a minute. But was I actually clean? Looking back, no, because every time I got out, I went back. Always picking up that phone, always taking that call. The supply was always there, and so was the excuse to use it. I spent years in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and I want to be honest about this because I think it's something a lot of people in recovery can relate to. Some therapists are genuinely helpful, and some just sit there while you talk and never really know if they can throw you a lifeline or do anything about your problems. Never give you the tools to actually step away from the substances. I don't go to therapy anymore. What I do instead is take everything I learned across all those years in sessions of therapy and actually apply it to myself. At some point you have to jump out of the nest. You fly or you fall. For me, I flew, but it took a long time to get there. Let me talk about something that doesn't get said enough. They'll tell you cannabis is only psychologically addictive, not physiologically. And I'm here to tell you that that distinction doesn't mean much when you're lying awake at 3 a.m. with headaches, cravings you can't shake, and haven't slept properly in 4 days. The first 4 days of quitting cannabis are rough. Headaches, sleeplessness, irritability, anxiety sound familiar because it's the same with alcohol, same with nicotine. We tell ourselves one substance is safer or easier than the others. But when you're trying to quit, the withdrawals, the cravings, the psychological pull, it all rhymes. Your body wants what it was used to. And that's just the truth. So where am I today? I'll be straight with you because that's what this channel is about. In the last 90 days, I've used cannabis twice. I'm not going to pretend that's the perfect sobriety, but I'm also no longer addicted to it. The compulsion is gone. When I moved to Canada, it was almost like a fresh start symbolically too. I left most of my paraphernalia behind in the US, but I had a little bubbler here that I eventually just threw away. That was a moment, small, but it meant something. For a while in Canada, I was using cannabis capsules instead of smoking it, and that actually helped me transition away from the habit. If that's something that you're considering, I'd recommend starting with the lower dose ones and maybe never going any higher than that. I started around 5 milligrams. It's a much more controlled way to step down if quitting cold turkey feels like too much all at once. And the last 2 times I used in the past 90 days, it wasn't even smoked. They were cannabis drinks. So even in the way I was using it toward the end, it had already changed. The ritual of rolling up, the bubbler, the whole smoking culture that was already left behind me. The reason I'm avoiding it now isn't even about the weed itself anymore. It's that being high triggers worse cravings for alcohol, and protecting my sobriety from alcohol means more to me right now than anything else. So I'm leaving it alone. That's the choice I'm making with a clear head, not a white-knuckled struggle every day. And honestly, the dispensary is 3 minutes from my apartment. The fact that I can just walk past it, that means something to me. If you're trying to quit cannabis for the first time, you might not make it on the first try. And that's okay. You're a quitter after all, and I mean that in the best possible way. What I will tell you is this. Get set in your mind that you're going to defeat this thing. Not just a white knuckle through the week and then cave. Actually decide. Because one day you'll realize you like the sober version of yourself more. The people around you will too, and already do. You'll get your sharpness back, your patience, your productivity. You return to yourself. The most real, most thoughtful version of you, and that version is worth fighting for. I'm Andre. If this resonated with you, subscribe and hit the like button. It genuinely helps me keep making these videos. Turn on notifications because my next video is going to go deep on drug-induced psychosis. The episode that started everything for me, including a drive to Maryland, a trip to BlizzCon in California that I'll never forget. You don't want to miss this one.